Thanks, Craig. Okay, so let's kick off our updates here by first looking at the overall picture that Microsoft is now giving us. So next slide, please. Okay, so to kick things off here, it's important to know that, like I said, Office 365 revenues continue to grow. Last quarter, they were slated at $7.4 billion. Obviously, we've now reached a tipping point where more and more people are now accepting this. It's now becoming a very standard, accepted part of technology, whether people and customers use the complete cloud solution or they do hybrid. But the trend certainly is that the Office 365 product is a success and being taken up by more and more customers each and every day. Next. On the other side, also Azure continues to improve in a massive amount here. So you can see that in the last quarter alone, it's almost growing, almost doubling per quarter. So we're now seeing more and more people picking up and wanting to move workloads, wanting to move some of their applications and hosting into the Azure environment. So the big advantage that the Azure product gives you when combined with Office 365 is they are effectively on the same platform, and it gives you that single user identity shared between both environments. So again, important to note that the Azure stuff is really growing really quickly given the volume of services that it provides, everything from IaaS to PaaS, all that sort of stuff. It's just a huge tool that we're seeing more and more demand, and that's again indicated by the figures that Microsoft's reporting in its revenues. Next, please. So taking all the cloud business together for Microsoft, we're looking basically at an annualized return of about $14 billion. So Microsoft alone is generating around $14 billion for its cloud products, being Office 365, Dynamics, Azure. So again, these are very large numbers and show a considerable focus now by end users onto moving a lot of their infrastructure away from on-premise, away from them having to manage and maintain it themselves and outsourcing it. And again, this means for resellers that there still is that need to obviously do the migration. There still is that need to help customers enable all these services, because again, typically we see that Office 365 is mostly used only for email. A lot of customers don't take advantage of things like Skype for Business, Yammer, SharePoint, Power BI, and so on. So the opportunities are there to enable a lot of these services. Next. The final point which I want to highlight for people is the LinkedIn purchase has been finalized. So it is now a division of Microsoft. It is now contributing to Microsoft's overall revenue. This will be an interesting play because obviously one of the largest social networks out there, especially the professional networks, is LinkedIn. Now, where the natural fit with LinkedIn is for Microsoft will be in the CRM space. So imagine a situation where Microsoft connects their CRM products into LinkedIn and are able to pull in LinkedIn information, portfolio information, skill sets, testimonials directly into a CRM, whether it's for employees or customers, prospects, or whatever. So a big play, I think, with LinkedIn coming down the track is going to be with CRM. However, there are also other rumors of LinkedIn products and services being serviced through things like Azure AD. So imagine the ability to connect a LinkedIn profile to an Azure AD credential, and then obviously flow through things like pitches, skill sets, titles, all that sort of stuff. So again, early days for the LinkedIn purchase, but do remember that Microsoft has added that product to its portfolio, and certainly would be encouraging resellers to make sure that they have their LinkedIn profile up to date and as current and as attractive as possible. Next. So let's turn our attention now specifically to some Office 365 updates. So I think the big update that a lot of people have been very keen to hear about is the updated OneDrive for Business Sync client. So again, you'll see the URL there. You can go out and check the specific details, but some of the big advantages that the updated sync client will provide is, firstly, it will now sync SharePoint document libraries. So previously, we could only typically sync our OneDrive for Business, but now the sync client allows you to synchronize as many SharePoint document libraries, again, just using the sync button, sync those to the desktop. The other advantage it's also provided is a completely new engine, very robust, able to synchronize gigs and gigs of information successfully to desktops. Best practice obviously is to not sync massive amounts of data. That's always going to cause problems no matter what syncing technology that you do use. And OneDrive now, the OneDrive sync client now gives us the ability to do selective sync as well. So we can go in and selectively sync folders, files, or individual items using this new sync client. We also get an update, status update, so we can hover over the icon, we can see which files are updating, the progress of them, the amount of data that's been synced. We also get the ability to pause the synchronization, so maybe that you are traveling and you have low Wi-Fi or slow Wi-Fi access. Basically, you can pause the syncing for a number of different options and it will automatically kick off in the background. Now, Microsoft has committed to push this update out to all clients who have it on their machine or as part of the Office on the desktop, but you can certainly go in, follow the links in the URL that is provided there and manually install it if you want, but this new sync client has started to roll out for all customers who are using it. And again, the big advantage now is that you can synchronize SharePoint document libraries to the desktop. Next, please. In line with the updates for the OneDrive sync client on the desktop, we also now have a new OneDrive admin console in the portal. So this will allow us to control the synchronization across our network users. It will allow us to determine what size can be allocated to users for their OneDrive for Business. It gives us as administrators a huge amount of control over the synchronization from a central location. So we get control over the synchronization client and also the OneDrive web storage area that we use in Office 365. Again, if you follow the links there, that'll show you more about the console. And again, they continue to add features into this basically all the time. So certainly have a look, fire it up, and you'll certainly get more control as an administrator over OneDrive for your users using the new admin console. It's important to remember that also at the back end, there is additional PowerShell commands that you can script a lot of the stuff you see in the web interface. That makes it, again, nice and easy if you want to automate these processes on a regular basis. Next, please. Microsoft continues to add features and functionality to Office 365. So recently it added a service called Bookings to its Business Premium. It has now added a Staff Hub application to its Enterprise suite. So this Staff Hub is now available free to anybody who has basically an E license or an enterprise license. Now, what Staff Hub gives you is the ability basically to work with rosters. So you can set out a calendar, you can determine rosters for individuals. There is a mobile application that the users can load onto their machines, onto their devices, and then they can see what rosters they are. And if they want, they can easily change, update, swap rosters with other people in the organization. So when they do want to change the roster, they can request a swap with another user. That request goes to the user as well as the manager for both of them to approve. So remember that Staff Hub is a free service with the enterprise version of Office 365. Have a look at it. Again, there's a lot more that will be going into this product over time as we speak. It, again, gives you a basic outline, but again, nice service that will work for users who have a need, especially to do rostering. Next, please. One of the other things that is beginning to roll out now is the updated SharePoint capabilities. So we're now seeing new interfaces available for SharePoint, much more mobile friendly. They change the look and the feel of the pages, allow you to easily add widgets. You'll also find that there are additional new widgets that are available that you can embed on into your pages. One of the widgets that was just announced today is the ability now to embed directly from Power BI dashboard directly into a SharePoint team site. So again, you can develop a dashboard icon, you can then embed that directly into a team site. So the changes in the SharePoint environment are being rolled out to all tenants. This may result in some changes to the look and the feel of the environment. It also gives resellers an opportunity to go back and visit their customers and speak to them about these changes and work out the best way that they can implement these updated facilities and better look and feel for their end users. So again, lots and lots of changes happening with SharePoint to make it much easier to work with. Don't forget that there also now is a dedicated SharePoint app that will allow you to get to your files and folders and information on from a team site and across multiple team sites. So again, very important that not only do you show customers the new look and feel and all the new functionality that's coming with SharePoint, but it's also very important to make sure that users have the applications, the mobile apps like the SharePoint mobile app installed on their devices to make access much easier. So these devices, these applications, if you haven't seen them, again, improve the functionality, are very, very slick in the way that they operate and obviously integrate very well together with other Microsoft apps on the device. And they're readily available for all the mobile platforms. And again, no cost to get those mobile apps up and running. Next, please. So let's turn our attention to Microsoft Azure. So Azure continues to grow, like I said, almost doubling quarter on quarter. This means that there are a huge amount of features and functionality that are being added to that product on a daily basis. This is a great opportunity, obviously, to provide solutions to a whole range of issues and trouble that customers may have and solve a lot of their business problems. Now, one of the other things we notice with Azure as the service continues to grow is the lowering of prices. So an indication here is that the pricing on our F1 and F16 VMs, again, are dropping around 20%. The A series, which you can't quite see on the slide, are also dropping as well. So we're seeing those sort of reductions across virtual machines, which means it's becoming cheaper and cheaper to run infrastructure as a service directly in Azure. The other thing that has been reduced, obviously, is the storage. So you have a reduction of around 26% for the hot blob storage, and the cool tier, which is obviously a little bit slower on the access, you can see that is now dropped by 40%. So not only are the virtual machines getting cheaper, but also the storage that comes also with Azure. So remember that it's not an all or nothing. You can certainly use different parts of Azure to achieve different solutions. But again, as the service continues to grow, as the service is spread across a number of additional users, the cost can be driven down as Microsoft gets more and more efficiencies in its data center arrangement. So again, nice handy bonus for 2017. Next, please. One of the major requests for resellers and customers has been the ability to receive invoices directly via email. So you can go in following the link here and you can configure for invoices from Azure to be sent to the address you nominate. So this means that rather than having to go through the portal or having everything rolled up into a single bill, you can receive those updates automatically. You could obviously go in and configure that for a customer if they have an individual tenant and you're responsible for it. So this just gives you the flexibility. It also indicates the advances and the improvements that Azure is making when it comes to the administration and also the ability to have advantages for resellers. So again, billing is always one of the challenges when it comes to such a large product like Azure, which is billed by the minute. But as indicated here, and again in the article, which I'd encourage you to have a look at, is that you have the ability now to automatically have invoices sent to you via email. Next, please. Azure has also now included the ability to do tenant restrictions. So what that means is that when you are publishing or when you have your applications available through the Azure portal, you see that we can now go in and we can now control when and where people have access to the applications that are deployed through Azure. So remember that Office 365 is also part of the Azure sphere, so we can also do restrictions when it comes to Office 365 applications. So perhaps you don't want users to access them via a certain IP. You can go in and have a look at that article and see how quickly and easily you can set up the ability to restrict applications that are part of the Azure environment. So again, more control and more ability to customize how the applications are accessed. The important thing also to remember is the great thing about Azure is the back-end reporting. So once you put in these restrictions, it then starts getting logged, and you can then pull out reports and present those and track those down to a very low level if required. Next, please. So one of the final things is, if you're not aware, that Microsoft decided to retire its remote app application, which was available in the old Service Manager portal. It then committed to releasing an updated version in partnership with Citrix that would replace this service. So for those of you who aren't aware, remote app was basically RDS, Remote Desktop Server, as a service, which meant that you could pay a monthly fee, users could access applications, and it would automatically scale up the resources as required without you having to spin up virtual machines. So basically you just purchased a SKU, and then as required the service would spin up, and the demand would then be metered out depending on the usage. So Microsoft has given us further information, and the blog post here is from Citrix. It indicates the new product that they are bringing to market. They're expecting to bring that to market in the very near future. We're expecting to see it probably before the end of the quarter, and this will be a direct replacement for Remote App. It will be available in the Service Manager portal, in the new Resource Manager portal, and it will allow users obviously now to add RDS as a service in Azure, but again provided via Citrix. No information yet on pricing and configuration, but that is certainly not far away if we have a look at the information that is being provided. Now, the last thing I mentioned, I didn't manage to get this into the slide because it's fairly new information. Microsoft has announced that it now has instant file recovery from the cloud using Azure Backup. Now, Azure Backup allows you to back up files and folders. It allows you to back up virtual machines. And again, one of the limitations was it wasn't so much like common technologies you see out there, things like Shadow Protect and Acronis that do imaging based. Well, the information is that they have released an updated agent that will allow you, once you have installed that agent, to do instantaneous recovery. So in effect, it works like a Shadow Protect product. It allows you to identify a restore point, and you simply mount that restore point as a virtual drive in your machine. You can then drag and drop files from that backup into your machine. So again, very much like a Shadow Protect, creates a mount point and then basically allows you to drag and drop that. Again, the important thing to remember here is that that is now possible with the Azure Backup for files and folders, and also available when you use the Azure Backup for VMs. So if you have an issue with the VM, you can effectively now mount the image of the VM that was taken at that point in the backup and then copy the files across. You can also do complete restores of volumes if you need to. Now, Azure Backup also provides, on top of that, is also providing the site recovery facility as well, and that continues on. So again, a very, very good coverage that is provided when it comes to backup and DR with Azure. I certainly encourage resellers to have a look at, because it's probably the easiest way to get into the Azure environment if you haven't already. And remember that the important thing here is that a lot of these services are available to you as a partner through your internal usage rights. So you should have access to Office 365, Azure credits, and so on. So certainly encourage you to work through those links, have a look at those new products, have a play with that. If you've got any questions, again, hit up the Ingram team. They'll be able to provide you with any information that you want. There's a lot more information that is coming out about Office 365 and Azure on a regular basis. So again, stay in tune with the Ingram Micro team to get all the latest updates. Encourage you, obviously, to also come to the boot camps to get hands-on whiteboarding, and we can actually work some of these out day to day and go into some more detail and help you apply this directly to your business. But I think that's all I've got at this stage, Craig.